Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm coming on to do a Friday video teaching. So if you're catching the replay to this video, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video, and feel free to share your thoughts, comments, perspectives, insights, experiences, anything you want to share with me in the comments below. If this is your first time tuning into one of my videos, my name is Stef, and I'm a psychic soul alignment coach. And what I do is I work with spiritual entrepreneurs and spiritual people to help them to do very deep levels of healing in order to come back to the truth of who they are and be able to create their greatest level of impact in the world by being their true, authentic selves. So I wanted to come on today to speak on the subject today. And I normally do videos every Friday on my YouTube channel, but I've taken a break from teaching in all the places where I normally teach, which is Facebook and YouTube, this month because I am running 2 group programs and I'm going through a lot of personal healing and lesson learning. And I don't force myself to do things that I don't feel I need to be doing. And so this month required a break. But I'm here today because I wanted to really speak out on this subject. So I've been speaking out the last couple of months or so to raise awareness around spiritual activism and spiritual bypassing, because I really do want to help humanity move forward. And I feel like sometimes certain perspectives and information that's shared out there is very one-sided still and doesn't really encompass the wholeness of what we're really here to be doing and how we're intended to see things from these higher perspectives. So this is what I'm here to do today. And I'm putting this laptop on a bit of a shaky table. So if the thing moves back and forth a lot, that's because the table's moving around a lot. But today I really wanted to come on and talk about how to anchor in 5D consciousness to create the new Earth, okay? And my apologies if you hear a lot of traffic in the background, but I'm currently in Lima, Peru, and right in front of a busy street. So these are the background noises, the background music of Lima. But I wanted to come on here and speak on the subject because I notice a lot of unintentional spiritual bypassing in the spiritual community, and I want to raise awareness around that so that we can really all come together and create the positive changes that we truly desire to see in the world. So I've been seeing a lot for a really, really long time, this obsession, in a sense, I feel, with anchoring in 5D consciousness and wanting to shift into these higher levels of consciousness. Sometimes because people feel like being at that level of consciousness is going to help them to achieve a certain level of freedom and sovereignty and liberation from the virtual world that we live in. And some people want to just simply reach that level of consciousness in order to come back to who they truly are and just be the pure divine beings that they are. There are many reasons out there for why a person would want to strive to reach 5D consciousness. And sometimes what I see being communicated through other different channels and teachers out there, mediums that we have, is that it seems like people are channeling messages in which they are putting 5D consciousness up on a pedestal, in a sense, and putting 4D and 3D consciousness down into lower levels, right? And I'm sure I felt like that at some point, so I'm not judging anyone. I'm just here with my current view and perspective right now and what I'm feeling called and guided to share as a teacher of spiritual awakening and raising of consciousness here. I'm just sharing this greater perspective that I have received on the subject. So, by the way, this might be a long video. My videos are usually really long messages, really long teachings. So you're more than welcome to increase the video speed on this video in case you want to listen to it faster. But what I want to share with you guys today on this is that Nothing is better or worse than the other because it all serves a purpose. But a lot of times I feel like people on the spiritual path, they're trying to reach that ultimate enlightenment. They're trying to reach that ultimate holy, godlike type state and just be up there, high vibing all the time and feeling great about themselves and feeling all powerful and all this stuff. And what I want you to understand is that we live in a world of duality for a reason. We live in a world where there is the light and there is the darkness for a reason. And on this planet, in this world here, we are here to embrace both and not just lean on one over the other, because the other serves a purpose as well and is part of us coming back to more of who we truly are and allowing more of our light to shine through. And so what oftentimes I feel when people strive to finding all these ways to reach 5D consciousness and, you know, being these spiritually enlightened beings here, that they're choosing to simply be all light and reject some of the darkness in themselves and in the world. And this is spiritual bypassing, because you're not really accepting parts of yourself to really be your true self. You're just leaning onto the parts that you like, the parts that you feel are worthy of being seen, are worthy of being expressed, and you're repressing or pushing away or denying the other. And all that does is create further separation. I feel like a lot of times we're still, because of our current level of understanding sometimes with where we're at in our journey, we feel like it all must be light, it all must be love, it all must be high vibes. And so we just lean on that, and that's still a very one-sided kind of perspective. It's still very much creating separation rather than integration and rather than unity, and embracing the dark, embracing the lower vibrational things to come back to our wholeness, to come back to who we truly are, because we are these really complex divine spiritual beings, and we're all of it. We're the light and we are the dark, and we're all of this. And I feel like what 5D consciousness really is about being able to be connected to our divine truth, that we are love, that we are light, that we are these beautiful divine beings, but that we're also darkness, and that we're also low vibrational emotions, and that it's okay that we can still love that and accept that. And by loving it and accepting it, we can come back to more light and more love and more unity, more wholeness. Does that make sense? And I really feel like that's what 5D consciousness is really all about, because I haven't channeled on this. I'm just here speaking my truth and sharing my perspective. But I feel like that's really all about, is 5D consciousness is not just all unicorns and rainbows. It's not just all, joy and happiness and peace and love and all the goodness. It's not just that. It's about really being able to embrace your darkness and all of that stuff in order to allow more of your light to shine through, because you're accepting all of yourself. You're accepting all of the world, all of the darkness in the world. You're allowing that to all be okay, and to hold love, compassion, empathy for all of it. And by doing that, you're able to anchor in more love into the world. And when you anchor in more love, you're able to support the creation of the new earth. And so what I also want to share around this is that a lot of times with the spiritual path, the spiritual awakening path, I see people promoting the messages of, I think what they're kind of, how I interpret it, at least through my perspective, what I get out of it is that they kind of look at people who are still in the third dimensional kind of consciousness, right? That are still living in fear and scarcity and doubt and worry, that are still promoting negativity. And they look at people who are still in this level of consciousness as being less than, as being unwoke or unawakened, as still being trapped in the matrix in a sense, and they're just not waking up, and they're just not moving forward, and they're still stuck in these different things, and that we should just ignore them. We should just leave them behind, because we don't have time for that anymore. We're so spiritually awakened. We're so woke. We're all, over here trying to be in this 5D consciousness. And so we don't have time for all of that stupid old matrix type of crap anymore, right? this is what I see a lot of times in the spiritual community with how, I read comments on different videos and posts, or how I see certain teachers communicate their messages, is they communicate it in such a way, and it's always, I think, unintentional a lot of times, but they communicate in such a way that it makes people who are at a lower level, like, in a sense, they're stupid, or they're still playing the game, or they're still, I don't know, just lower than us because we know more and we're awakened now. And what I want you to understand is that every time you view other people as less than you view other people as not worth your time, or you're just rejecting them because they're just at a lower level consciousness than you, that's still creating separation. That's not promoting love. That's just promoting more of what we've been getting. And if we want to transcend that, we need to understand that it's not, we can't continue to remain from behaving from this space or viewing things from this space. If we really truly want unity consciousness to be the predominant consciousness here on the planet, then we have to look at ourselves more closely and recognize where we are still creating separation with ourselves and others in the world, and to look at those parts of ourselves more closely to be able to integrate them and to be able to love and accept all of those parts of ourselves more easily in order to come together again. So I said in a recent video, and I can't remember which video, but I will link up here. I think it's this way, or maybe it's this way. I don't know. But in the cards, I'll link up my playlist on spiritual activism and spiritual bypassing. Because in one of my most recent videos, I think it's the video on maybe white colonialism that I did. What I said in one of those recent videos is that, I remember now, sorry. It's the importance of healing for spiritual entrepreneurs and light workers, or spiritual leadership and light workers. So I will link that up here somewhere. I haven't published it yet to my channel because I'm not forcing myself to do anything right now, but it will be up soon. But in that video, I believe I said about how this new form of leadership that we're being asked to bring forward, all of us, okay? It's not just spiritual teachers who are here on platforms speaking to hundreds or thousands of people. It's all of us individually, all of us who are spiritually awakened, who feel called to make a better world, okay? We're being asked to step into a higher level of spiritual leadership. And what this means is that you're not just trying to increase your consciousness just to feel better all the time and just to make your life amazing and just to ride off into the sunset. It's not just about you. Yes, that's important. It's important for you to work on yourself and to reach those levels that you want to reach and create the amazing life you want to create. That's important, but it's not just about you, because if it's just about you, then it's still very much ego-centered. It's not about all of us. And so what I mean by that is that, you're not just working on yourself and healing and doing all of these spiritual practices just so that you can stay high vibe, just so that you can live your best life. It's about you then using all of that stuff that the tools, the information, and all this stuff to support people that are at lower levels of consciousness than you and assist them with their ascension process, their journey, so that they can move themselves up and they can come back to who they truly are. But when you are being a spiritual person who is just practicing, all of these different things that you know about in regards to spirituality to connect to your truth, so you're just meditating and you're just doing your yoga, or you're working with your crystals, or whatever it is that you're doing just for yourself or just among your little circle of friends. And when you come into contact with people who are at a lower level consciousness and who don't understand you, you just kind of push them away, or you just ignore them, or you just tell yourself like you can't deal with their ignorance or whatever it is. You can't deal with their third dimensional shenanigans or third dimensional mentality, whatever it is. When you say those kinds of things, you're not supporting them in ascending. You're not helping them to come back to who they really are. All you're doing is just creating that separation, that barrier. And I want to be very careful about how I say this, because there is a very fine line between you working on yourself and holding your light and your love and supporting other people, but not overdoing that, not trying to save people, not trying to impose yourself around people, on people, not trying to, pick everyone up necessarily. Okay, there's a fine line there. The other one is trying to awaken people. So there's a fine line there. And the way to navigate that, the way to know when you need to remain in your light, your truth, your love, and when to kind of take a step back and help this person who's a little bit behind than you. The only way that you're going to know how to navigate that is by being very connected to your inner guidance, to your higher self, your soul. And that is the part of you that will help you know when it's really time for you to just keep going about your business and keep living your best life and keep doing your practices, and when it's time for you to maybe have a more hands-on approach in helping another person to have a greater understanding of things and to see things from a higher perspective. So only your inner guidance will tell you how to navigate that, because I don't want you to think now that just because I'm giving you this message, this means that you can't stay in your little spiritual bubble and that you need to be going out there waking everyone up or helping everyone out or that kind of thing. I'm not saying that, okay? I'm saying that you need to understand when to, it's like a ladder, and I believe I gave this analogy as well in my last video, but it's like a ladder, and you're further up the rungs on this ladder. Or you can even think of it as rock climbing, right? And you're further up, and you need to know when to either stay there or when to come down and help the person that is further behind you, okay? So I'm sure with rock climbing, I guess this is why I'm being asked to talk about rock climbing right now, is that with rock climbing, I don't know a whole lot about this sport, but I'm sure there are instances where the person on top, there's two people, right? There's one further up and there's one at the bottom if they're climbing together on the same thing. So if there's an instance with the person at the bottom, the lower level consciousness, right? If they're having trouble, if they're in danger or whatever it is, and they're kind of swinging around or something, I'm sure there are certain instances where the person that's further up can't just stop what they're doing or drop or whatever and go down to save them and help them. There's certain ways where they have to kind of wait for that person to maybe be balanced or centered or whatever it is for that other person to then come down and assist them, right? And going back up. So there's going to be certain instances where you're going to have to use that discernment to know, okay, do you just stay up there and wait for that person to like get themselves together, ground themselves, center themselves, whatever it is, be in a better state to be able to be open and receptive to what you have to share, or not, right? Or is by trying to go down to where they're at and helping them when they're in that intense state, or they're not in that non-receptive state, is trying to go down to them when they're in that state, going to actually put you in danger and harm you, right? So you have to use your inner discernment to know when to kind of drop down a little bit from that 5D consciousness bubble that you're in and to help those people come up. And there is no right or wrong. I've said this in some of my videos in the past that I've done for this playlist on spiritual activism, spiritual bypassing. There are going to be certain instances in which, you can't help them, and that's okay. Oh, I'm sorry. There are going to be, there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. God, universe, spirit, source, whatever you call the higher power, is still going to love you no matter what. Just do your best. But what I'm trying to communicate in this video is that if you are refraining from connecting with certain people because you feel you're at a higher level consciousness than they are at, and you can't deal with their drama or their struggles or whatever it is that they're going through, or you feel judgment towards people at a lower level consciousness, you're judging them in some kind of way, thinking they're negative, they're asleep, they're ignorant, they're buying into the lies, blah, 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 all this other kind of stuff. When you're looking down on people and you're having that judgment, you're disconnected from the truth of who you really are. You're disconnected from the love and acceptance of Source, because Source doesn't judge. Source loves all of us equally. And when you are judging, you're creating that separation. And so that's a really great opportunity for you to then do your inner work around that, around why you feel the need to keep people at a distance, around why you feel the need that you can't be bothered with this third dimensional world or these third dimensional people or lower dimensional people, around why you are judging them for being asleep and buying into the agenda and all the other things, right? You need to look into that to release your judgment. By you releasing your judgment, you're then going to allow yourself to anchor more love. You're going to then be able to more easily support these people on their journeys so that they can ascend as well. And as they ascend, we all get to ascend, right? Because what I feel like a lot of people who are on the spiritual path and who are striving towards reaching higher levels of consciousness more consistently is that they feel like the way to create the new earth is if we all just do our best to reach 5D consciousness. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But like I said, we're being called to bring forward another level of spiritual leadership. And that means not just looking out for ourselves, but also looking out for our brothers and sisters who need support during these times. And discernment is really important in that process so that we don't overextend ourselves trying to help other people. We have that balance. But when we are able to move throughout the different planes of consciousness and dimensions, 5D, 3D, 4D, when we move up and down that kind of ladder, if you will, of consciousness, the more that we move up and down that and we help other people come back up, the more that we consistently are able to anchor in higher levels of consciousness here on the planet, and gradually we'll get to the point where we actually are able to more consistently maintain 5D consciousness here on the planet for all of us. And we'll be living our best lives, all of us. But for right now, it's about really allowing ourselves to be willing to navigate these different levels of consciousness and to embrace our multidimensionality by not just remaining in 5D or what we believe is 5D, but actually moving down to 3D and 4D as necessary to work through our own things, to release our own shadows and darkness and bring out more of our light and love, but also to assist other people. And the more that we embrace, the more that we are able to then hold more of the light and love that we need on this planet to anchor in that higher level consciousness for all. And we're able to make that more of the permanent thing here. So that is my perspective on, how to create this new earth. Is creating the new earth is going to be possible when all of us are on board with creating it. But we're not going to all get on board with creating it if only those of us, the select few who are spiritually awakened, just work on ourselves and are just in our own spiritual bubbles and we just do our little thing. Like, we're not going to be able to do that and create this new earth just with a select few of us working on ourselves. We all need to work on ourselves. We all need to do that deep healing. We all need to take ourselves through that awakening process. And how that is supported is through those of us who are more awakened and further along in our path, and being able to and being willing to come down those rungs of consciousness on the ladder to help our brothers and sisters who are a little bit behind, and assisting them in their own journeys, and continuing to work on ourselves through healing the judgment and separation that we still are creating within ourselves for why we don't participate more in this 3D world that we're still in, this physical world that we're still in. Because of the truth of the matter is that the new earth is not going to be created just by all of us sitting here meditating all day long, or sitting here all day practicing being in higher vibrational states all day long. It's not going to pop up magically out of nowhere. It doesn't happen like that. because we're still in this physical virtual reality. We're still in this game, and we have to have certain physical experiences in order to increase our understanding of things and expand our consciousness. And that is done through playing this game, being in this physical world. And so we all have to have some kind of active role in this physical world, which means that to create this new earth, it's about us being more proactive here in this physicality to create things in such a way that promotes more of the love that we wish to see in the world, more of the equality, more of the acceptance, more of the abundance that we wish to see in the world. So that is why people like myself are speaking out and are raising awareness around the spiritual bypassing that's going on. So that by raising that awareness, those of you who feel aligned to receive this message and who want to be more active in your role in bringing forward a new earth, you're able to participate in this physical world in the ways in which you feel called to participate in to bring about that change. So me, for example, I'm here doing this video for whoever's watching it to help you raise awareness around that, so that maybe you play a more active role, because the more people that we help awaken and we help come back to their truth, the more that these people are going to take an active role as well in the world, in the physical world that we exist in. And they're going to help support in bringing down certain structures that need to be brought down and building up new structures that we need to have built up to create this new earth. That is how we create the new earth, is by us being proactive and requesting the change and bringing about this change and choosing to do away with what's no longer serving us anymore. And so we have to be proactive in this physical world on some level. So this is how we do it. This is how we achieve this, is by helping our brothers and sisters with their journey, with their process of spiritual awakening and ascension, so that they're able to awaken. And then all of us collectively waking up and supporting one another, we're able to come together and to bring about this change that we want to see in the world, and to rebuild the world in the way in which we desire to build it in. But that's only going to be made possible when we work together, and not when we're working separately. And then there are those of us who are, in our spiritual, dreamlands, working on ourselves and just being all high vibe all the time and just focusing on ourselves, and then just leaving everyone else to their devices to figure it out. That's not how it's going to come together. We all need to work together to create the change that we want to see. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with not maybe being a active player in bringing about this change. You don't have to necessarily go out there and protest or do other physical things to bring about this change necessarily. There's many different ways to participate, but what I'm trying to say here is that I really encourage you to reconsider just being in your own spiritual bubble and not helping other people out and just letting them figure it all out by themselves. I encourage you to go within and see why you're having that approach. What is that really all about? Because again, your inner discernment is going to help you to recognize when you need to be more proactive and when you need to take a step back. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, there are some times, like even myself with this video, right? I took a step back from doing the teachings that I normally do here on YouTube and on Facebook. And I do those teachings for free to help support people in the world. But I have to find that balance. And that balance for me is I can't overextend myself. I'm already doing a lot by supporting the programs, the people in the programs that I'm doing this month. And I need to make sure that there's balance there. So I've taken a step back, but that doesn't mean that I'm not doing my part necessarily to make this world a better place. I'm doing it in my way by helping my clients to do their own deep healing and connect more deeply with their souls and all that jazz, so that they're able to fulfill their purposes and be more of who they truly are. So I'm doing what I can, but I'm not just in my spiritual bubble just all day, focusing on what I can do to raise my vibration all day long and just leave it at that and not care about whatever anyone else is going through, right? So that's what I'm talking about here, is finding that fine balance. If you ever need to take a step back, take it back, that's okay. But just make sure that you're not bypassing. Just make sure that you're not purposefully ignoring people because you're holding judgment to them or towards them or any of that jazz, okay? Allow your soul, allow your true inner guidance to lead you forward in how to navigate the changing times that we find ourselves in, and allow your soul, your inner guidance, your higher self to help you in being able to show up in the world in the best possible way that you can to help support the creation of this new earth, the anchoring in a 5D consciousness, and of helping other people ascend as well, and not just so solely focused on your ascension. There are moments to be solely focused on you and to take care of you. That's why I say there's nothing ever wrong with you choosing to take a step back or processing or taking a break from things and just focusing on meditating all the live long day and being with yourself and journaling and all that stuff. There's nothing ever wrong with that if that's what you feel called to do for you at this time to support you with your own healing and your own ascension process, because we can't have you also being depleted either and then out there trying to help people while you're still feeling depleted inside of yourself, right? That's not what I'm saying. It's about allowing your inner guidance to lead you to what to do and when, so that you can make a difference in this world and not just have it be all about you, and to support other people. And sometimes that looks like you being out there proactive, helping people out, sharing perspectives, tools, information, teachings, whatever it is, healing. And sometimes that looks like you taking a step back and just focusing on you and getting yourself together and recalibrating or whatever it is. But I want you to make sure that you're not keeping yourself from supporting other people and being more proactive in this physical world that we're in to bring about this change, because you are unconsciously separating yourself, because you are holding judgment, because you are thinking that maybe you're just too evolved to participate in this 3D world that we're in, okay? That already has spiritual ego all over it. So I want you to be mindful of that. And yeah, just have this greater awareness and do what you feel called to do moving forward. So that is the message that I felt called to really bring forward today. I was inspired by someone, and whose message I didn't fully agree with, but I was very inspired by it to come and speak out on this and to share my perspective. So I hope that it has helped you so much, and that it has expanded your consciousness and your understanding of your role in bringing about the new earth and anchoring in 5D. And yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say. Hi, well, hello there, Marfel. I hope I said your name right. Are we definitely ascending into 5D? I haven't channeled with my guides on it, but I feel like we have, and I feel like it can't be stopped. And I know that a lot of people are maybe questioning that because of the darkness that we're seeing right now in the world that's being exposed. But this is all about shadow work. This is why I stress that you can't just be 5D and high vibe and have everything be all hunky-dory. Like, that to me is not really 5D. That's, I feel, still a very limited way of viewing 5D, that you think it's all going to be perfect. I think 5D is really about integrating all aspects, the shadows, the darkness, the inequality, and embodying that to really integrate that on deeper levels so that it can come into love, equality, justice, all that stuff. But I don't feel like just because we're in 5D means that we're not going to see darkness in the world or injustice in the world. I feel like it's about embracing that darkness, embracing that justice, and doing better. So in order to shift into 5D, we have to shine a light on all the darkness that is in the world in order to bring that up to the surface, to be healed, to be released, and to be, what's the word in English? I don't know how to speak anymore. Rectified, maybe is the word, or brought into harmony. That's really what it's about. It's about embracing the darkness to bring it back into harmony with who we really are, to our true light. So in order to do that, we have to see the darkness inside of ourselves. And I talk about this all the time in Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, all my social media handle things are in the description of this video. So you're more than welcome to follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, on my Facebook community. But I've been talking about this. I've been teaching about this in Remembering Who You Are, which is my 12-week, very deep spiritual development and healing program. And the darkness must come out to the light, and what we're seeing in the macrocosm, meaning the collective, the things that we're seeing in the world, is only reflecting back to us our own shadows, our own darkness. And if we want to purge the darkness in the world more quickly, we have to take our healing more seriously and do the inner work to release our shadows. So that way the external world, the collective that we exist in, doesn't continue to reflect that. And this is why just being in your 5D bubble of doing the practices and the rituals and stuff to always just remain high vibe is not going to really be, is not necessarily facilitating that deeper integration that we require. So how we facilitate that deeper integration is by looking at the darkness and seeing that, rather than continuing to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, or to push away people who are in the darkness and not want to deal with them. We have to learn to see that for what it really is, which is an opportunity for us to raise our awareness around what we have going on within ourselves, what's going on with the world, to develop greater compassion, love, empathy, understanding for those things, and to, from that space, be able to show up more lovingly, more powerfully, more proactively to bring about the changes that we want to see in the world. So I feel like we are moving into 5D. I don't think it can be stopped. I saw another channel recently who was speaking out about this, and she mentioned, what's her name? Lori Ladd, I think. She mentioned something about something happening in 1978 or 1990 something. I can't even remember. 1987, about some kind of collective shift thing in our consciousness that really anchored in 5D. And it was like some kind of activation where, or some kind of agreement where, if Earth, Mother Earth, reached a certain capacity of consciousness, like she had to reach like at a 50% kind of level where at least half of the planet had to have like a greater level of consciousness or something like that, then that was going to set in motion all of the things that needed to happen in the world to really like amp that up and really move her into 5D. And so now it's just picking up momentum. Now it's just this train that we're on, that we're being transported on. And we're going to get to our destination of 5D anyway. And that's truly what I feel. Even before I listened to her, I just knew like the ascension process can't be stopped. Everyone's awakening. Everyone is coming back to their truth on some level. And it's going to continue to pick up momentum more and more and more. And it just can't be stopped. It really can't. Like once you see something, you can't go back, right? And that's exactly what we're going through. And so more and more people are awakening, and everything that we're living through, coronavirus and Black Lives Matter and all the other atrocities that are happening in the world, is just part of that process of bringing up the darkness to the surface to be worked through, healed, released, in order for us to really start creating the kind of world that we desire. But this is the dark part that we have to go through first. This is what shadow work is. This is what embracing that darkness to bring up more of the light is. So it's going to get ugly before it gets worse, but we're on the process, and this is what's going to happen. It can't be stopped. And the way to facilitate that process and to support our brothers and sisters here on the planet who are ascending at a very rapid pace, because the energy is just picking up so much momentum that it really can't be stopped, to support everyone from having such a strong rude awakening, is by being willing to come down from our spiritual bubbles and to assist them, to guide them, to support them, to hold space for them, hold compassion, even if we're in disagreement with them. But we don't necessarily have to judge them or criticize them or anything just because they're at lower states of consciousness. And we don't have to necessarily abandon them and leave them to their own devices just because, you know, they're at a lower level consciousness. We're here to help facilitate the ascension process for one another. So that's why I really encourage everyone listening to take this message, however, people, in case you haven't been. And like I said, You got to listen to your inner guidance to show you the way on how to do that, because being more proactive maybe isn't necessarily talking to people and guiding them and helping them. Maybe for you, being more proactive is you just releasing your judgment around them and holding more love and compassion and empathy for them. And that is how you bring up more light and you support this process for everyone. So that is my message. I really hope that this has helped you. I would love to hear from you in the comments below what you thought of this message today. Feel free to share this video with anyone that you feel could benefit from this message. If you enjoyed this video today and you want to see more of my videos, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the bell notification button, and change your settings to see all so that you never miss out on a notification from my channel. And I have other playlists on my channel you can check out. Other videos you can check out. Just allow your guidance to lead you to whatever video you need to watch from mine today, from my channel today. You're so welcome, Marfel. Thank you so much for joining me live. And I send you all so much love. I will see you all in the next video. And if you want to sign up for my email list to stay in touch with me and receive messages from me and updates, then go ahead and sign up for that in the link in the description of this video. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. Take care. I wish you all the best. Bye.